Welcome back, friends. Did you know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month? And while we have more awareness about the importance of mental health, the stigma isn't gone. So today, Scott Chapman, the Vice President of Account Management for UnitedHealthcare, is here to talk about how their organization is focused on the mental health crisis. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, such an important topic. We talk about this a lot on Great Day because it's so interesting. I want to show you all a statistic that you all provided us from the National Alliance on Mental Illness. 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. experience mental illness each year, and it affects people across all age groups. I want to first clarify a little bit here. When we're talking about mental illness, are we just talking about the anxiety, the depression, the common things we hear about?
Yeah, it's stress, it's anxiety, it's any time you just feel uncomfortable in your skin and are having feelings of depression, and, those are the things we're looking at.
And it's definitely gone up in the last couple of years, really today as well, because of what's happening in the world. Of course, the pandemic, we saw an increase.
Exactly.
And it's so interesting because, yes, we are talking about it more, but like I mentioned off the top, there is still that stigma. Why do you think there is still a stigma?
It's a tough thing, and it's true, there is still a stigma. The good news is that there's more awareness now about mental health than there ever has been before, but even with that, the stigma still exists. A lot of people, whenever they are having those feelings of fear and anxiety, they're concerned about, they have a fear of going and talking about it because of judgment, discrimination, and what happens there. And if you don't seek that care, what ends up happening is that feelings of isolation, of hopelessness, they just exacerbate.
It's so true.
And whatever those feelings were, they got you to wonder if you should seek care, just get worse. I mean, it's a very, very serious situation.
And yes, of course, it can affect you mentally, right? Mental health. But it can also affect, honestly, the overall self, right?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Whenever you think about it, we look at both physical health and mental health as being interrelated. They're tied in together. And that's why we tried at UnitedHealthcare to treat the whole person. Mental health goes into so many different aspects. First of all, overall well-being, the way that you think, you feel, you act, that has a direct way that you handle stress, is how you make your decisions. Like we said, the physical health ties completely, and when you have anxiety, when you have stress, it's not good for your physical well-being, including heart disease.
Wow.
When you think about productivity and relationships, when you are less stressed, when you're having clarity of thought, you're able to make better decisions.
It's so true.
Build strong relationships. All this is just so key, and you think about it as a development from a child all the way up, the importance of that.
And I like how you said that, starting at a young child, because listen, kids these days, because of social media, just because of how the world is today, they're probably more stressed than ever. Again, 1 in 5 adults today, okay? And it's affecting all age populations. And shout out to you all for really trying to help this mental health crisis, right? You all recently teamed up with the Saints for something.
Yes.
What y'all do? Come on, football season.
It was a fantastic event. So we paired up with the New Orleans Saints, in particular cornerback Kalante Taylor. We went to Cammon Junior High. It's in St. Rose, Louisiana. About 100 junior high students came in, and he talked about his journey, his entire career journey, starting from youth and high school football to college and the NFL, and the way he found that success was really giving a big emphasis on his mental health and the way that he really worked and strove for that. And he had a great conversation with the kids, and it had a big focus on anti-bullying, and whenever you need help, seek the help.
Come on, it is so important. And shout out to him for recognizing that he had a problem, because I feel like for a lot of communities, including myself in general, sometimes we don't want to think about it because we think if we shine a light on it, the light is just going to get bigger, and we don't want that to happen. And luckily there are some actionable steps that we all can take to help make sure our mental health is better, especially during the month of May. Of course, we're talking about physical activity. We know that's so important. What are some of the other things?
It's interesting. So UnitedHealthcare did a study, and it's a white paper throughout the entire country, and we interviewed college students and graduates, and found out the number 1 source for people to, whenever thinking about, do I need to get mental health care, the number 1 source they go to are their peers. And that talks about your network, your friends, your family, your coworkers. That network is so strong that whenever something happens, not only do you ask, should I seek care, but you have somebody to lean on, and I have that. And then, like you said, with the way that you eat, the way that you sleep, your nutritional values, all those things have a direct impact on your stress levels and your ability to make those good decisions. And I'm not talking about you don't have to go to the gym 2 hours every single day. You don't have to be on a low-carb diet. It's doing little things like take 20 minutes out of your day and go for a walk. There are so many resources now to help you with like mindfulness exercises to be able to reduce that. And look, we are all online way too much. Reducing your time online is a key way to reduce some of that stress.
But at the core, it's so important to understand that you need to recognize first something is going on. Then you can take those actionable steps to help you with your mental health. My favorite, a happy hour with friends. Okay, I never met a happy hour with friends that did not help my mental health. See what works for you. Thank you so much for being here, my good sir.
Thank you so
Shout out
much.
to UnitedHealthcare for this. And look, if you all want more information about the mental health resources they offer, including their awesome app, it's like a Calm Health app, right? Super cool, all included in your plan. More information about that, uhc.com. And look, if you know of someone who you feel like is struggling, call 988 or text that number for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Now look, coming up next, everybody, we're not done talking about mental health. Apparently, post-COVID people still aren't socializing the way they did before that lockdown. How is that affecting our mental health? We'll find out after the break.